Welcome to Module H25. This is the first session of Week 5. Across H1 to H24 you built a complete AI-assisted system for your business. H25 has one job: hold up an honest mirror and ask how much of it is actually still running, not how much you completed. By the end of this module you'll have mapped 3 real-world AI adoption stories back to specific modules you already completed in H1 to H24. You'll have extracted one common pattern that holds across all 3 stories regardless of sector: manufacturing, retail, and services. You'll have completed an honest adoption benchmark scorecard for your own business. You'll have named your single biggest adoption gap and its real root cause, not just the symptom. And you'll have written and signed a gap-closing action SOP committing to one specific action in the next 30 days. Let's start with why benchmarking against real adoption, not theory, is the only way to see your own gaps clearly. Finishing a module is not the same as adopting a habit. By H24 you'd signed more than 20 separate SOPs, commitments to keep doing something monthly or quarterly. Research on habit and technology adoption consistently shows the same finding: skill is rarely the reason people stop. The reason is almost always that the habit was never anchored to something that already happens, or that no one ever checked whether it was still happening. The 3 case studies in the next 3 scenes are not here to impress you. They're here so you can produce one honest scorecard about your own business by the end of this session. Read each story for the pattern, not the result. And remember, every workflow in all 3 stories maps back to a module you were already taught. The gap is almost never missing skills. The gap is sustained use. Case Study 1. A manufacturer who stopped guessing and started tracking, and what the tracking actually revealed. Suresh runs a 22% precision parts manufacturer in Coimbatore. 18 months ago he was losing to long-standing clients to quality disputes, and his chartered accountant was threatening to raise fees because his records arrived as a box of receipts every March. His turnaround didn't start with a big investment. It started with one small habit: 3 months of bank statements, properly categorized, reviewed monthly instead of annually, the same habit taught in the financial records module. That one change surfaced a margin problem on his second largest product line within 6 weeks, something his CA had never had clean enough data to spot before. From there he built a 5-number weekly dashboard instead of guessing at how the business was doing, ran a structured scan of his order history that surfaced a repeat customer pattern he'd never noticed, and validated a small capacity investment with a trial batch before committing fully. 18 months on, CA preparation time down from 3 days to 4 hours per quarter, one new product line generating 15% of revenue, and 0 quality disputes in the last 2 quarters. Not one dramatic change. 3 habits, none of them glamorous, that never stopped running. Case Study 2. A retailer who stopped guessing which stock moved, and what the real data showed her to do next. Shalini runs a wholesale and retail distribution business supplying hardware to 40+ small shops across 2 districts. Her core problem wasn't demand, it was that every growth idea came from whichever customer called last, and half her working capital Saturday in slow-moving stock she'd stopped tracking properly years ago. Her first real change was small. She started replying to customer WhatsApp inquiries using a consistent AI-drafted template instead of typing a different message every time, cutting average response time from hours to minutes. That alone recovered several orders she'd previously lost to faster-responding competitors. She then ran a structured scan of which customers reordered most and which stock moved fastest versus slowest, not a hunch, an actual calculation, and used it to renegotiate payment terms with two suppliers on her fastest moving lines. Working capital tied up in slow stock cut by nearly a third within 2 quarters. A referral program for her top 15 retailers, built from the reordering pattern her scan revealed, now accounts for a fifth of all new customer volume. To counter, staff now handle WhatsApp replies themselves using her template, without waiting for Shalini to type each one. Case Study 3. A digital studio that scaled not by learning new tools, but by finally letting someone else run the ones it had. Neodisk is a 9% digital design and web studio that had plateaued at the same 6 retainer clients for over a year. The founder was the only person who understood the AI workflows the studio had adopted. Every proposal, every client update, every project brief ran through him. He was the bottleneck. The fix didn't start with a new tool. It started with the founder finally writing down and teaching to team leads the exact prompts and workflows he'd been using alone every day for client communication and project summaries, turning a personal habit into a shared team capability for the first time. With that bottleneck removed, the studio shaped one new service line using the offering development process the founder had already learned, ran a structured comparison of it against competitors instead of assuming demand, and put it through a decision check before quoting it to their first 2 prospects. Client capacity roughly doubled without adding headcount. The new prototyping package now represents a quarter of new revenue. And the founder took his first full week off in 2 years without a single client escalation because the workflows no longer lived only in his head. Now let's extract what all 3 stories have in common and score your own adoption against that pattern honestly. Look closely at all 3 stories, and the same 5 habits show up every time, regardless of sector. First, a basic habit reviewed regularly, not just completed once. Suresh reviewed his bank categorization monthly. Shalini used her WhatsApp template every single day. Neodisk's founder ran the client comms workflow himself, consistently, before ever teaching it. Second, a structured scan replacing a guess or a hunch. Suresh scanned his order history. Shalini calculated stock movement instead of relying on memory. Neodisk checked real competitor data instead of assuming demand. Third, acting on what the evidence showed, even when it was surprising. Suresh's scan showed a repeat customer pattern he hadn't expected. Shalini's scan revealed her real referral opportunity. Neodisk's decision check shaped the pitch before it went to a single client. Fourth, a check before fully committing. Suresh ran a trial batch. Shalini renegotiated supplier terms before assuming margin. Neodisk ran a decision check before quoting. And fifth, a workflow documented well enough that someone else could run it. Suresh's CA now runs the quarterly close independently. Shalini's counter staff handle WhatsApp without her. Neodisk's team leads run client communication without the founder. 5 elements. Not 5 new skills. 5 habits that never stopped. Now score yourself on those 5 elements honestly. Use 4 levels: never, tried once, inconsistent, or consistently running. The first task is to map the 3 case study workflows back to specific modules in H1 to H24. You've already seen the answers in the 3 stories. The second task is to run the pattern extraction prompt in Copilot, paste a summary of all 3 stories and ask it to identify the common pattern regardless of sector, focusing on habits maintained over time rather than specific tools. presented as 3 to 5 elements with a one-line explanation for each. Then the third task, fill in your adoption benchmark scorecard, 1 row per pattern element. One important warning before you start. If every row comes back as consistently running, check again. At this stage of the program, nearly every learner has at least one honest tried once or inconsistent row. A perfect scorecard is more likely to be a generous one than a truthful one. And a generous self-score defeats the entire purpose of this module. Tasks 1 to 3. Review the 3 workflow to module maps from the case studies. Run the pattern extraction prompt in Copilot, paste or summarize all 3 stories and ask for 3 to 5 common habit elements. Then complete your adoption benchmark scorecard row by row, 1 score per element. Write down your weakest scoring row. That's your biggest adoption gap and the only thing tasks 4 and 5 need. Save your scorecard. Your scorecard is honest and your gap is named. Now let's find out why that gap exists, because a symptom and a root cause are not the same thing. Not all adoption gaps have the same cause. And naming the wrong cause leads to the wrong fix. 4 common root causes hide behind the same symptoms. If you did it once during the module but never again, the habit was never attached to a specific date or calendar trigger. Without a trigger, it competes with whatever feels urgent and always loses. If you keep meaning to but something more urgent comes up, no one else notices or is affected if it doesn't happen. There's no accountability. If it felt useful during the course but not since, the workflow was never simplified enough to survive without the structure of a live session. And if only you know how to do it, the workflow was never documented well enough to hand to someone else. That last one is what links directly to H26. The root cause diagnostic prompt in Copilot helps you get past the symptom. It asks you 2 to 3 diagnostic questions about your weakest scoring row and then suggests one specific, small action you could take in the next 30 days that addresses the root cause directly, not just the feeling that you should do more. Tasks 4 and 5. Run the root cause diagnosis prompt in Copilot, paste your weakest scoring row and its module, and ask for 2 to 3 diagnostic questions to identify the real cause behind why the habit isn't sticking, and one specific action for the next 30 days addressing the root cause directly. Write down your real root cause, not the symptom. Then write and sign your gap closing action SOP, the one specific action, the date you'll do it by, and your name. Save it, it feeds directly into H26. Let's close the module and look at everything you've built. You've mapped 3 real-world adoption stories back to specific H1 to H24 modules. You've extracted the 5-element common pattern that holds regardless of sector. You've scored your own adoption honestly, row by row, against that pattern. You've named your single biggest gap and diagnosed its real root cause. And you've written and signed a gap closing action SOP committing to one specific action within 30 days. Complete the test. If you don't pass, watch the 60-second hack video, then review the module and retry. When you are ready, move to H26 where the gap you just named, especially if it was only "I know how to do this," gets fixed at the team level.